What's good, Knicks Nation? Let's talk about this loss as the Knicks went down to the Detroit Pistons. It was 120 to 109, and the New York Knicks let their 4 game winning streak get snapped, man, on their home floor on Knicks homecoming night, man. This was a frustrating loss, a bad loss. Let's unpack it because there's a lot of talking points to come out of this ball game, right? As the New York Knicks didn't give up at the end, they made a furious comeback. But the story was early, slow start, letting the Pistons get up by 16 in the first quarter, which was unacceptable. Really bad defense, and obviously in the absence of Karl Anthony Towns tonight, and we're going to talk about that. Precious Achiuwa stepped up, and Errol Hakporti got some major minutes in this one, and we'll talk about him. But obviously the New York Knicks just couldn't slow down the pick and roll offense of Cade Cunningham, Ivy, and the floor spacing, and the Detroit Pistons are a better team this season, right? But no excuses. The New York Knicks shouldn't have got down by that much, and they obviously missed a lot of free throws. That hurt them in this ball game, right? We're going to unpack it as well, give out the grades with the chat, but salute to the chat, buzzer beater. Let's get into it. Daniel Connaught, and we'll talk about Tibbs as well. Yeah, we're going to give Tibbs the grade, but yeah, frustrating night as Josh Hart got tossed in the final minute of the game for a second technical, a soft as one where the referees once again display a double standard where they give, the visiting team or the opposing team to the New York Knicks a different level of leeway. But against the New York Knicks, we don't get the same, kind of whistle as well, right? And we're going to talk about that as well, with what's going on with the NBA right now. It's frustrating, right? It shouldn't be happening on our home floor. And I do think the Knicks probably get the worst home court whistle, right? But in terms of on the court, right, the New York Knicks got out rebounded, right? Obviously, we miss Cat in that category. So that's at the very top, I feel. We're going to talk about that as the Knicks pulled out 41 rebounds to Detroit's 50, right? They've got B. Stew, they've got Jalen Duren, and they were a nice tandem and were tough to stop. But obviously, Precious working his way back displayed some fortitude tonight. Had some missteps, some lapses as well as everyone did in the big department with Jericho early, Huckporty as well. But Huckporty gave us some more good than bad, and hopefully that's something we get to look at, moving forward now. Look, Cat was out with knee tendonitis, so it doesn't seem like it's something major, but I think it was wise to rest the big Cat in this one so that it doesn't linger as well. But free throws is the story, fam. We'll get into the Knicks homecoming story tonight, the alumni, as well as we've broken down this game after that. But free throws, man, 16 of 27. Very uncharacteristic for the New York Knicks. That was the major story in this ball game. 59% from the free throw. You just can't let that happen when you're not getting defensive stops, right? And you're giving up points, and then you're not taking advantage of the points that you should be getting as well. But the captain gave us 10 assists tonight, 31 points. But obviously, we sorely missed Cat scoring in this one. Bridges, a frustrating night for him offensively, right? Missed a pull-up three in transition as well. I'm still not liking that shot from Bridges at the moment, but he was deadly in the mid-range, 20 points tonight. Hart battled, but like I said, he was frustrated with the poor whistle. And I love Hart showing his emotion and showing that fire and desire because he's one of the very few Knicks that wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think this team needs somebody like that in those moments as well. And I would have really loved Tibbs to probably get a technical as well or get tossed just to send a message. Because on our home floor, we're just not getting the same level of officiating when we're driving to the lane. And that's been a huge story this season that I've been harping on about, fam. With the major story is the Knicks, the number one offense coming in to tonight's game. But second to last, 29th in the league in free throws awarded as well, which is absolutely preposterous, where the best offense in the league shouldn't be second last in free throws, right? The two just don't match up. But we'll talk about that later. And look, I really do think that Precious Achiuwa is going to get major minutes. Obviously, Jericho Sims, I feel like, might start to lose his spot in the rotation, right? If tonight is anything to go by. Yeah, it was a definition of a trap game early, as Buzzer Beater made that point earlier tonight. I did see that, and I was thinking, man, any team can beat anyone. So, I don't like the excuse of a trap game. I don't like to sort of reference trap game as much as, in previous instances, because I feel like this team, whilst, had been really on a nice streak, a nice tear, I don't think we've earned the right to walk into any ball game thinking that we should, beat anyone. I still want us to be more consistent. And I do feel like anyone in the league can beat anyone, and we let the Pistons shoot 50%. They got hot early, fam, and that was the major story. I was going to say Mikal Beasley, but the Beasley from Detroit, right? He shot six threes in the first quarter, or the Pistons shot six threes. He gave him 12 points in that first quarter. And once he got confidence, it was contagious. And everyone else, started raining threes. And our perimeter defense just wasn't up to it tonight. We weren't rotating quick enough. But once again, you love the fight. 11 steals. They battled back in the game twice. Once down 16, fought all the way back to within four, and then they fell back down 17, and then they made a furious run to pull it within two, right, off some huge plays from Precious, OG, Deuce McBride, Hart, and of course the rookie Huck Porty as well. We're going to give out his grade as well. But David, I see you, says tough loss, CT, and I wish Bridges was more aggressive tonight. I think Bridges is just still that mixed bag at the moment. I'm really liking some things he gives us, but then on the other side, it's just like, we need more. We need more for what we paid and for what he's hoping to get paid in terms of his next contract. Bridges is that guy where he's just in and out of the offense, but his shot selection, I think, needs to be reined in a little bit on those transition threes, because the form just ain't there, fam. It ain't flowing like we expected it to. But look, this is all about the defensive end, guys. Offensively, we scored enough points to win the ball game. 109. To give up 120, on our home floor on our Knicks alum night, the homecoming, and we'll talk about that, was a nice sight, and a presentation at halftime as well for our Knicks fandom, and our favorite Knicks coming into the building and coming together, right? It was a feel-good vibe, but unfortunately, the Knicks just didn't come out with that energy early defensively, and we let our guard down against the weaker team, like Buzzerbeater says in the chat again. 100% agree, man. I hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. Frustrating night, but yeah, I'm not going to get too down after tonight, because this is the way I'm looking at the regular season, guys. And I don't know how you guys see it, but what I've seen is, obviously you want to be consistent. But to me, any team can beat anyone on any night. So what I want to happen is, if we can pull off, let's say a 5-game winning streak like we have recently, like 8 of the last 10, that kind of thing. And then you might have a letdown game, and then you bounce back, and you go on another streak again. I think that should be the aim, because you're going to have letdown games from night to night. Teams come into your building, they're hungry. I think MSG made a great call tonight. The opposing team does feed off of the energy at MSG. It's electric, right? And it can be a blessing and a curse for the New York Knicks, for the officials, for the other team as well. The crowd starts getting into it, and the other players want to show out. It goes all the way back to the days when Kobe and Steph and LeBron would come into MSG. Now you see Cade. Now you see the Jaden Ivies of the world. Malik Beasley's try to show us, try to show up. And that's where we have to take pride defensively, roll our sleeves up, and just play 10% harder, because that is the blessing and the curse that we get, guys, when we do play at MSG. But yeah, Hart was banged up in this one as well. A couple of and one plays where, a couple of plays where he drove and didn't get the foul as well, which was really tough. But here, Huck Porty, one of his big plays tonight, putting the ball on the cup, just looks a bit more confident offensively with the ball than Precious and Jericho. But obviously defensively, he needs more minutes. He needs more time to get into that positioning and the rhythm, right? And obviously he was thrown out there tonight in the deep end, but I thought he did really solid. And so well done to the Rook, despite some poor defense from the team as a whole. Deuce McBride tried his best to give us a big energy boost. Hit some shots tonight. Did Deuce played good defense as well? I really think we need to tap in to our better defensive lineups. When we're lacking, and Tibbs just needs to not rock with the bad lineups for too long. Like, let's say if Bridges is struggling, put Deuce in immediately to stop the tide. Stem the flow, because we shouldn't be getting down 16, 17, right? Once we're down 8 or 9, call a timeout and get it going again. We should never fall down by 16, because that is a long way to come back, fam. Troy says Knicks played this game like it was a scrimmage. They lack consistent focus and the team is too overconfident. They need to get hungry and stay hungry. I agree with you, man, 100%. That's been my main concern. I mean, the highs are the highs and the lows are so low. It's just frustrating. We need to balance it out. But look, obviously we have to caveat this game, no Cat tonight. And obviously we're learning the first game without Cat, and we're learning to play without him in this environment, right? We've played with him all season, and Precious has just worked his way back as well. So I feel like with a bit more rhythm for a Huckporty and a Precious, we've probably got our interior defense a bit better. Our perimeter defense remains to be the major story. And I think Jalen Brunson was porous defensively tonight, as was Bridges. But obviously, you want to give credit to the Detroit Pistons, because they're not the Detroit Pistons of 2 years ago. I think you can watch this game and comfortably say that they've made improvements, I mean, Ivy, Cade, they're forming a nice duo right now. And then they got Fontecchio and Malik Beasley spacing it out. And then they got the couple of mountains in the paint with Beef Stew and Jalen Duren. So, I mean, it happens when you, like Breen said tonight, when you pick in the top 5 4 years running, I mean, you're going to make improvements steadily. And obviously Detroit aren't the joke they used to be. But that said, I think it was still a bad loss. And the New York Knicks just, shot themselves in the foot tonight, guys. 16 of 27 from the free throw. I mean, even late at the end there, with it's like 2 minutes to go, 8 points, we missed, let me count, 11 free throws. Let's say we hit 7 or 8 of them, it's a ball game down the stretch. Best believe that. So we hit 7 or 8 more free throws, late down the stretch. It's a ball game. We're still in it. So I think tonight was self-inflicted at the free throw line as well. And everyone really needs to get in the gym, man, and shoot 100 free throws tonight. No doubt about it. But the starters, we'll take a look at the first guy tonight, the first starter. We'll talk about JB, the captain. Obviously, Precious didn't get the start. Jericho did. But, I mean, it was more or less Precious playing the starting minutes, because the start of the second half, Precious got in there, and I like that decision from Tibbs. Obviously, Sims just didn't have it going tonight, and sometimes, early if it's going to be a Sims kind of game, and when it's going to be that case. And Sims fumbled a couple of plays, wasn't sure with the basketball, and also turned it over as well, trying to drive and make a play happen. And so, Precious, I think he might start if for the future if Cat doesn't get out there. I think obviously Precious is just working his way back. So Tibbs did rock with Sims, I think, to start it. AP says CT without Karl Anthony Towns, the team was in a tough situation. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I mean, you miss a major piece like Cat, it's going to create a lot of holes, no doubt about it. But look, I think we fell down in that hole early, and it was just too much to overcome, right? Because you got to really fight, and we're not at our best defensively at all. We are making strides. I think we've moved up to 19th defensively, but we're probably going to fall back down to the 20s once again. But obviously, we're the number 1 offense in the league, so something has to give. We've got to balance that. We've got to balance that out, fam. Johnny says, salute, sad game for Knicks legends to endure. Amen, yeah. But they did see the fight. They did see the fight with the Knicks coming back. But I felt like Troy says, we just take it too casually at times, and we walk into the building thinking that we're just, entitled to win. I mean, this is the NBA now, and you've got some really young, hungry Lions out there. So we do need to toughen up. And I think Precious Achua being back is really going to help. He makes things happen. You can trap easier with him because he's nimble. He's a good tip back guy. He tipped the ball back out a few times. He's capable to put the ball on the floor and make a play and beeline to the rim. We got to see him huge alley-oop jam from Huck Porty as well, running the floor, as well as Precious running the floor really well. So yeah, look, if I have to say, if Cat doesn't go in the next game, or if he misses a game later down the track, I think Precious is that guy that has to step in and start. Like Johnny says, Sims really isn't starter material in the NBA, but we do know that Tibbs does like his funky lineup sometimes back in the day. Yeah, Dwayne Hackporty needs to be utilized a lot more. The Knicks are going to get every team's best. Yeah, I think the simple fact is Hackporty just gives you more of that rim presence. He's more offensively minded as well. He's a bigger body, and he sets better screens as well. I think credit to Detroit, they were really fighting over all the screens tonight, and just Sims screens weren't effective early. I think that was one of the reasons Tibbs didn't go back to Sims as well. But yeah, with that said, the Knicks fell in that hole early, and it was tough to come back from. But OG, solid game defensively once again. Hart battled. Right, I'm really not mad that Hart picked up these technicals because I mean someone has to stand up for what's not happening with these officials. Right, we're going to give the officials their grade, but let's give Jalen Brunson the first grade of the evening, guys. Welcome into the post game. It's always great to have you with us, win or lose. We always talk about it, Knicks therapy, and we'll bounce back. But the bigger picture stuff, like I said, guys, as long as we win 5 in a row, I don't care if we lose one. Win 5 in a row again, then you lose one, then you win 5 in a row again. Right? It really don't matter who you lose to. I don't really care if it's Detroit. If you win 5 in a row next up, they keep it rolling. But obviously, what I don't want to see is back-to-back consecutive bad efforts defensively, slow starts, all of those things. You got to correct that. And yeah, like Sandman says, Tibbs, I think he learned a lesson tonight. I think, look, Precious coming back so early in the season. I think in his sort of comeback, I think he wants to ease him in. But yeah, Jericho, I was kind of surprised to see him start, and obviously it didn't pay off, right? But Brunson turned the ball over too many times, 5 turnovers, uncharacteristic, and obviously 6 of 9 from the free throw as well. So was pretty solid elsewhere. Field goal percentage 52%, 3 of 7 from distance, 31 points, but the -10 just tells the story. I think he did draw a charge, but Brunson was really in a tough spot defensively tonight. I mean, Cade's size, Ivy's speed, coming downhill off the screens as well. They took advantage of Brunson tonight. Not going to lie. It was not just Bridges' fault. It was everyone on the perimeter to start the ball game, and throughout the ball game, they were just finding it too easy to score, get downhill, and kick it out. So we have to bring the help a lot quicker. With that said, and the bigs were caught in quicksand a couple of times tonight on the help. But with that said, I know JB is going to be hard on himself with these turnovers and all of that, and it was a tough loss as well. He obviously held us down, carried us offensively without Cat. But the good and the bad, they cancel each other out. I'm going to give Brunson a C+ for tonight. It is disappointing. We should be beating Detroit. He is the leader of this team still. I've got to find the ways to get guys in their best positions offensively as well, not turn the ball over 5 times. And just be better defensively. It's simple as that. Whether it's switching quicker, but yeah, we've got to find a way to neutralize those matchups against bigger guys because I mean, Cade is playing at a really high level right now, and respect to him, respect to Detroit, who are an improved team. But we gave this game to them. You know, um, in terms of bigs, I don't think we're going to explore a deal, Sandman, until Mitchell Robinson gets back healthy. But we'll see. We'll see. Mitch will be back before the trade deadline, so that'll be a good opportunity to evaluate. But I mean, Cat's been holding us down in terms of the rebounding, department, and the Knicks got out rebounded by 9, 40, 41 to 50 tonight. So yeah, that was a large chunk of Cat missing right there. Leading the league in rebounding. I mean, shout out to Cat for holding us down on the block. But they've got B Stew and they've got Jalen Duran. I did think that Tibbs found the right matchup late in the ball game, but it was kind of too late at that point. So yeah, Brunson gets the C+ for me. And let's dial up these officials before we hit on the next New York Knick, guys. But it's great to have you with us. If you're new, like and subscribe to the channel. And you've got the streets buzzing in this one. The Knicks went down 120 to 109. Frustrating night. But we'll go back on a streak, fam. We'll get it going. This homestand, we're above 500, so we are taking care of business at home for the most part. But tonight, like usual, the referees weren't giving the Knicks the same level of respect as they were the other team, so they get an F for me. The second technical on Hart was just, nitpicky double standards, because Cade was literally blowing his top, and he was allowed to get away with that. Was on the flip side, Hart gets tossed, and he's usually respectful. Is Josh Hart? He likes to talk to the officials and just get explanations, and does it in a respectful way. But once again, these refs want to make it all about them, and that's the frustrating part. And I do think that the New York Knicks get the worst home whistle out of any teams in the NBA when it comes to that, right? Next up, let's talk about OG Anunoby, because man, OG is the best, help defender in the NBA for me, no doubt about it. The amount of times he came over and got a deflection or a steal, 6 stocks tonight, 4 steals and 2 blocks from your wing stop tonight. 6 of 15, 2 of 8 from distance. Missed a couple of wide open shots, which really hurt this team. When trying to make a run and a furious comeback. But you love their effort, energy defensively. It's just a shame we don't have 3 OG Anunobys, man. I think that's the drawback. He's just so active everywhere. And, the other guys just have to pick it up. So 38 minutes for OG tonight, but the 6 stocks, trademark kind of game. The shots just didn't fall for OG like we needed. Let's say he went, 5 of 8. I think, the game flips on a switch. The game flips on a switch right there, and changes. So for the grade, I'm going to give OG a B+, right? Without his 6 stocks and his defensive energy, we wouldn't have even been able to fight back and get back into this ball game. Sandman says, yeah, Kessler would be a great answer to our problems. No doubt about it. But like I always say, fam, what are you going to get for? What are you going to give up for him? And you're always hoping that the other team is going to trade the piece to you. It's a tough situation to be in with Danny Ainge. But yeah, Kessler, the player, would be absolutely perfect on this club. AP says, if we're depending on Mitch, we're in trouble. I think firstly, you got to see him with Cat, with Precious. It's been everyone out at a different time. You get all 3 of them back, and I think that's a nice solution to our issues. Obviously, yeah, Mitch might be on minutes restriction. I think it's all up in the air right now. But look, we know in the postseason, Mitch has really been he's been a kryptonite for Cleveland. He's dominant in that matchup, and the playoffs are all about matchups. So yeah, I do think that Mitch is still the best elite rim protection in the game. if we can ease his minutes and hopefully he stays healthy. But yeah, Huck Porty's a guy that we should be blooding a lot more and playing a lot more. So let's talk about Precious next up, right? Precious tonight, bigger minutes in his comeback, was 2 of 3, and he gave us 10 rebounds with 6 points and a block and a steal, 1 offensive rebound, but he went 2 of 5 from the free throw. So that was hurtful right there as well. One of many Knicks that left some easy points at the line. But Precious gave us 4 assists as well and was a +9 in major minutes. So if you look at all the starters in the minus, except for Mikal Bridges, Precious Achiuwa was a +9. So yeah, really impactful. And look, he needs to start next up. And then obviously I want to see Huck Porty back him up if Cat or Mitch are out. But yeah, Precious, I mean, great to see him back, second game back. You know, he needs to be more active in terms of the minutes and obviously start, right? I don't think Sims should be starting over Precious based on what Precious can give us on both sides of the floor. So, yeah, solid game from Precious Achiuwa. I'm going to go a B for Precious Achiuwa. Yeah, one of the more consistent Knicks tonight with his effort, energy, and output. Like I said, did have a couple of missteps defensively on rotations, but again, he's been out a little bit, and obviously it's probably down to rustiness. But I think our biggest concern is on the perimeter. It's not really interior tonight. I mean, we were challenging shots at the rim. Even some of them were vertical, and we're still getting, whistled for the foul, which was that. I mean, that was really, really frustrating, guys. Once again. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Franz Wagner news because that's significant around the East, AP. Buzzer Beater says refs D+, missed some calls. We haven't been getting the call this whole year. It's up to the organization to file grievances. Yeah, it's great you said that, but it's also, it is what they've done. They've filed grievance after grievance. As far as Tibbs has said, they've written to the league office many, many times. So I'm at a loss. I really don't know what else is next. You just got to find a way to play through it, play physical as well, and make the most of your fouls. Don't make them ticky tack. Make sure that you actually knock the dude off his feet so that they don't want to come into the paint again. You see, if you just do a little ticky tack hand check foul, that ain't going to deter no one from coming into the paint. But if you lay some wood and lay them down, they're not going to maybe drive as often, or they're going to dribble it back out. See, I think the Precious and the Huck Porty kind of tandem, they give us that level of edge, that attitude, that fortitude that we need down low. And obviously even with Cat, those guys are more of a presence in the paint with Huck Porty and with Precious, 2 huge alley-oop slams from either tonight. And the garden erupted. There was just so much energy in the building tonight. It's just a shame we didn't pull it out. But like I said, with that said, I don't live and die with each loss and win. I just want to see patterns and trends and consistency. And if we go and back and win another 5 in a row, I'll forget about this one. Every team has a blip. I mean, Boston will lose to Atlanta. Then you see the LA Lakers get blown out by other poor teams. It can happen. It just it really rings home how important a guy like a Karl Anthony Towns is as well offensively, because the Pistons defense did really make life difficult for us. We weren't really getting any easy buckets tonight with less floor spacing. And with that said, let's talk about Mikal Bridges, because I don't really know what to make of it at the moment. What do you guys think? 37 minutes, 8 of 17, almost 50% from the field, but 3 of 9. The 3-point shooting isn't really where it needs to be, and it's not really spacing it out for us right now. We need better. 3 of 9. and a lot of them were open looks, and then a couple were rushed looks, especially that one in transition that just I never felt confident. You know, when Bridges pulls up for a transition three, do you guys feel confident? The shot's flat at the moment. Um, but look, he battled. He gave us 20 points, 3 assists. He gave us 2 steals and a block as well. So, he battled through this one. I just don't think that the 3-point shooting, is there what we needed tonight, especially in the corner. Missed that momentum swinging three that would have changed things. 8 of 17, but simply the defense on the perimeter, and screen navigation, I think is the biggest drawback and downfall for Mikal Bridges right now. And I don't know whether it would be switching things up with Deuce McBride would be the best scenario, but Deuce is still one of our best perimeter defenders. And I think, the minutes might have to reflect that, right? I don't know if we need to play a Mikal Bridges 37 minutes, maybe 28 to 32. Give the other minutes to Deuce McBride, I think, who is better defensively and really helps us on that end. And we're going to talk about Deuce later. But yeah, for me, it just remains to be a mixed bag for Mikal Bridges. There's good, no doubt about it, 3 stocks, but he's just not living up to the billing right now in terms of consistency and all of that. But he did bounce back after that low point in Charlotte and gave us a couple of really good games in a row. So hopefully he does bounce back after this one again. So with that said, I'm going to give Bridges a C plus as well, right? I like the 3 stocks, gave us 20 points, was reasonably efficient from the field, but inefficient from 3. And the defense needs to pick up. Buzzer Beater says OG with a B plus, good game except for his dunks. His shooting percentage was off, and he had too many turnovers. Yeah, credit the Detroit defense once again. They made life really difficult for our guys, and our offense really it thrives on passing the ball. And if they're jumping into passing lanes and really getting into our ball handlers, it really puts a lot of pressure on them. Those are the kind of games where we just need to really let our defense turn into offense, and fuel our offense off stops and transition. And that's where we thrive tonight, those mega stops with OG and the transition dunks from Precious and Huck Porty. That was the defense getting turned into offense. And I think those are the kind of games where we really, really need that. The half-court offense struggled tonight because, the Pistons defense was gritty. A lot of really lengthy players with Cade, Beasley, Ivy, big wingspan, and Duran and Beef Stew. David M says, at least we don't lose ground in the standings tonight. So yeah, we're at 14-9, and Orlando suffered a gut-wrenching loss, which is a huge blow to them. Franz Wagner out indefinitely with a torn oblique as well, the same injury that Paolo Banchero is out with, man. And that is huge in terms of the rest of the East, but really bad news for Orlando. I mean, he's been the one keeping them afloat, from scoring, doing everything, right? They're already without Paolo, and now they're going to be without Franz. So yeah, the Knicks need to capitalize as the Milwaukee Bucks make a run as well. And the Hawks are coming. The Hawks are on the come up, as like AP says. I think the Knicks will take care of the Hawks. I still think there's daylight between the two teams. But I do think a player like, a center situation is really key against Atlanta with the likes of Clint Capella and a Kongwu, right? So let's talk about Hart and let's talk about Tibbs. Next up, the man Hart, his 3rd technical of the season, and then he picked up his 4th technical in the same game, right? The 4th technical was obviously the ejection for dissent, I think, mouthing at the official. I'm not mad at him at all, man. I can understand the frustration, when you're just not getting the right whistle. I mean, the best thing is to play through it at the moment, make them call it when you know when you drive and you get that contact. You might just have to embellish the contact right now. But the refs are bugging. They get an F tonight. Hart was 7 of 11. Um, been shooting hot coming into tonight, but 1 of 4 from distance. So the shot the threes didn't fall for Hart tonight. But 3 assists, 6 rebounds. The 17 points was key. -3 got us a steal as well. Quite a night on the glass, and that tells you how the Knicks struggled. Obviously, 9 more rebounds to Detroit with their extra bigs tonight, and the length of Cade, Tobias Harris playing the wing spot as well. But yeah, a pretty typical Lionheart game. Efficient from the field. Got his 6 rebounds. So let's dial up our Hart's grade for tonight. And I'm going to duplicate what I've done with Precious Achua. I'm going to give Hart a B tonight. Right, so the best New York Knick for me was still OG Anunoby, making up for a lot of deficiencies with this team. I mean, he is the X factor on this team. Is OG Anunoby. 6 stocks tonight. I mean, he'll be an all-defensive team, and he'll be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year when it comes to money time late in the season, right? But yeah, we missed Cat tonight. Defensively, though, I don't think we missed him on that end as much, rebounding-wise, but defensively on the perimeter. I mean, the pick-and-roll clinic that Detroit was able to do, and a lot of ball movement and player movement, that really got us scrambling in that one, and it was basically trying to claw our way back. So before we hit on the bench, right, what are your thoughts on Tibbs tonight? Tibbs didn't challenge a call tonight, and that's frustrating for me because usually in these kind of games he does challenge a call, and even if it's one that he doesn't think he's going to win, I mean you got to use your challenge still. But outside of that, slow start once again, and that is on the coach too. I think you call a timeout, like I said earlier. If you get down 7, 8, and the energy just wasn't right in the beginning, you call a timeout there and you put it to bed. You stop it, even if you make a defensive switch up and you put on Deuce instead of Bridges or something. Bring in Precious earlier and sit Sims, but Tibbs didn't do that tonight, and he got the team to fight their way back. But the slow start really, really killed us for me. So with that said, I'm going to give Tibbs a D tonight. What saved him is his decisions with Precious starting the second half and obviously rocking with Huck Porty when he needed to. I think that was a good adjustment and a good switch up too. But that is where it ends, really. I think we can't afford these slow starts because, yeah, the league is different now, man. I mean, you can't look at these bad teams the way, or some of them the way we used to 2 years ago. For the point I made before is because they've got like 5 first round, 5 top 5 draft picks in their team, and those players improve steadily over the years, and they get better and better. And you see Cade Cunningham now playing at an all-star level, right? And it's contagious. They sign a few free agents. Jaden Ivey starts to become a legit NBA starter, and and then you got some veterans like Malik Beasley, Fontecchio, who can shoot the basketball as well. They're a better team. And Detroit's given some teams some problems, man. They almost beat Boston. So, it's a team. It's a game we're expected to win. I'll never dispute that. But we don't have a right to walk into any game like this thinking that we just, are going to, walk them. Right, these guys have got talent, and once you give them a hot start, that they start to get confident. So I think my takeaways from the season so far is we're capable of beating anyone, and I still feel our ceiling is super high. On our day, we can blow the doors off someone and put up 140. But when it's not our day, we can look bad as ever defensively, and we could give up 120 something, to a Detroit Pistons team, and we just have to find a way to to level out and not be that inconsistent. Salute Paula. AP says I'm going to judge Tibbs by this season. Yeah, you and me both, especially the postseason too. Buzzer says OG is my guy for Defensive Player of the Year on our team. Yeah, he's holding us down in a major way, and by far the best New York Knick this season, right? Obviously Brunson, Cat, and Hart, no doubt about it, Hart. But close among that mix is Deuce McBride. Another night, no Cameron Payne tonight. I think we would have really benefited from his energy. But let's take a look at Deuce as we talk about the Huck Porty situation and Cat. Do you sit out Cat one more game and keep him ready for that NBA Cup game on Wednesday against ATL at home? But we've got one little road trip, quick road game in Toronto, and then we come back to New York City for that Wednesday matchup, man, for the chance to get to Vegas and for every player to win $100,000 extra as well. If we beat Atlanta, every player gets an extra $100,000. If we beat Atlanta and then we make it to the semis and we qualify, everyone will get an extra $200,000 just for making the NBA Cup final. And if you win the final, then everyone gets the $500,000. So they're going to be switched on Wednesday against the Hawks at home. That is going to be an early playoff type game. But we've got the Raptors before that on the road, and the Raptors are playing really well. They got RJ Barrett. Remember him? He's playing the best ball of his career right now. And I think, yeah, that Raptors game, we can't take them lightly, man. I would start Precious if Cat can't go, and then I'll bring Huck Porty off the bench. I think that'll be the right way to go. For now, Sims has lost his spot. I think just because Precious Achiuwa is healthy, and hopefully Cat plays. He did warm up tonight and tried to give it a go. So I think he was close. So I think it's knee tendonitis, soreness. I think Cat will probably go for the next one. I don't think he's going to miss too much time. Right, like I said, he warmed up tonight. So we'll probably have Cat against the Raptors. But Deuce McBride, next up, let's give his grade. Because Deuce had some flashes in this one. Didn't shoot it great from distance, but 3 of 7. Always high energy, a steal and a block from the 6'2" guard. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 points, and a -14 for Deuce McBride in 26 minutes. Right, but the plus minus once again can be misleading. Deuce didn't have the 3-point ball flowing tonight, but I did think that he impacted the game positively, especially on the defensive side. And that was when we were making a run and getting up and down. And he helps turn our defense into offense. 26 minutes. I think that was pretty solid. I would have liked to see him play 30, if Bridges is struggling on the defensive side. But yeah, Deuce has been one of our most consistent New York Knicks for the season, right? And I appreciate what he brings to the table each and every night. So I'm going to give Deuce a B for tonight, right? Two-way player like OG Anunoby. I think probably our second best two-way player, maybe our third behind Hart. And we need more of the other guys, giving us the same level of play on both sides. But yeah, salute to Deuce. Hopefully he continues to get loose. We're going to need him against Quickly, and if Quickly's playing against RJ in the 6. Paula says the Knicks think they could walk through this game. As bad as we might think these teams are, they have talent and they can play. The Knicks are not at the point where they can take any teams lightly. Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, like you said, it's a 3-point shooting league too. You could be a really bad team and just have a hot night. If you let guys wide open, they're going to make you pay eventually. Tonight was one of those nights. Unfortunately, it sucks. We should have taken care of business. But on the night where Hart got tossed, it was frustrating. Knicks alumni night. We're going to talk about that, right? But Huck Porty up next gave us a big spark tonight, man. What are your thoughts on Ariel Huckporty's game tonight? No Cameron Payne, no Sims in the second half. There was a moment where you thought, is Tibbs going to give Huckporty another chance? After he was in the rotation and then he was out. Well, clearly he trusts him in certain ways. Clearly he likes what he can bring in terms of energy, anchoring the defense and running the break, like you see here. High motor guy. Um, I'm glad he made the most of his minutes. Look, defensively, he's a rookie. I think he's going to have some lapses at times, but he stayed out of foul trouble. And I had some really, really nice sequences tonight, did Huckporty. But yeah, I love his energy running the break. And obviously his ability to put the ball on the floor is something that we really need. I've got one of his other buckets here. Yeah, he's driving layup. Yeah, which is really important, when you're playing without Cat, right? To get some offense out of the 5-man, a la like Isaiah Hartenstein, a la Precious Achua, Karl Anthony Towns. If you can get a certain level of offense out of the 5, just so that they have to respect him, that opens the door up for everybody else. The drawback with Jericho Sims, in a nutshell, for me, is that the teammates don't trust him, to pass him the rock. He can set a great screen, and Jericho sets great screens, and he switches well defensively on the perimeter, and he's been deterring shots at the rim for the most part. But he's a little undersized. But on the offensive side, you're 4 against 5, because you could clearly see if the teammate passes it to Jericho, if everyone's cheating off of him, he'll try to put the ball on the floor and make something happen. And as we saw tonight, that's not his game. He turned the ball over and they got the deflection. On the flip side, if it's Precious or a Huckporty, you see they can actually use their handle and make something happen. No, they're not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they're far from it, but they can make something happen where you have to respect them. And so, yeah, that was the key tonight. And I think, maybe Tibbs will reflect and see that, those guys deserve more minutes. But here is another one with Precious running the break, man, getting the Garden crowd on their feet. In terms of Huckporty, B Fit says, Huckporty is as good as Hartenstein right now. I'll take the minutes for the plus he gives us. A for tonight. Salute. I think he has potential. I would still take Hartenstein. But yeah, I appreciate the comments on that in terms of what Huckporty can provide. Similarities with Hartenstein on the short roll. The great pass to OG as well. I think this might be the play. Yeah, is this the play? No, it's a different one. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, Huckporty sets the nice screen, short roll, finds OG in the corner. That's exactly what Isaiah used to do. Just one quick dribble, put the ball on the floor. It's got safer hands, a tighter dribble, bends at the knees. I think that's the key for any of you bigs that are working on your game. Just to be able to get lower your gravity and just make that handle a bit tighter so that nobody can steal it and and get their hand in the cookie jar. I think that's key for not getting stripped. But also, I don't know what Beef Stew's doing there. He's completely, he's hedging, but he's giving up way too much to Huckporty there, and Huckporty made him pay. Basically, you can't give Huckporty that much space. He's too skilled for that. So for Huckporty and his grade, I mean, it was a lot of flashes in one game. We've seen a lot of that before, but he was 4 of 4 from the field. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 9 points, minus 13, and did get to the free throw line as well, which is big for a rookie to make something happen and to actually draw a foul as well. And with his activity. So yeah, how many minutes did Huck get? He finished with 15 minutes. So yeah, solid night's work. Let's see if he gets more minutes in the next one, and I think he deserves it. You gotta reward the good play the right play for him. So with that said, I'm going to dial up the grade now for Huckamania, and he's going to get a B minus as well. Solid game. Um, you know, gave us a boost and a spark of energy when we needed it, and ran the floor as well. The potential is there. There's still, rustiness, and there's still that rookiness there. But I think that'll get better as, if he plays more rather than just having that quick hook. B Fit says Precious's transition offense is elite. I like it. Yeah, he can put the ball on the floor really. Buzzer says Huckabee, potential is there. Maybe tonight is a sample of Tibbs giving him more of a chance and transitioning to from Sims. Let's hope, man. I'm hoping. But look, we all know Tibbs is loyal to his guys, and Sims had earned that level of minutes that he was getting. Obviously he was protecting the rim, but you see the drawbacks offensively with Jericho sometimes, and I think a lot of people have made this point, but it's so true. How many times did Jalen Brunson find Huck Porty on the pick and roll on the lob? How many times in one game? But how many times over the course of the whole season has he passed it to Jericho Sims in the short roll? I think he passed it to Huck Porty tonight more times than he'd passed it to Jericho all season in the roll, in the pick and roll, in the lob threat. So that speaks to the level of confidence, but positioning as well, because Huck's just getting in the right positions for that. Now, with that said, short rotation tonight, Deuce, Huck Porty. We already talked about Precious, who got into the starting lineup. So let's talk about Jericho, man. 6 minutes, got us an assist, 1 turnover, and a -9. 0 points in 6 minutes, -9. So yeah, one of the reasons the Knicks got off to a slow start, and that was the switch up. That was the catalyst for Tibbs to make that switch up. I mean, -9 in 6 minutes. That tells the story. But I think it came off the back of a turnover, a frustrating turnover where Sims was trying to do the right thing and make something happen, but he just fumbled the basketball and just couldn't turned it over and just didn't make a play off that one. So with that said, I mean, he didn't get back into the ball game, right? So I'm going to give Jericho a C minus on this one. It wasn't his night. People do have bad nights. They have a stinker from time to time. But yeah, Sims didn't provide anything else outside of a sluggish start, and the team as well. It really impacted everyone. So I think it should switch up in the next one. We'll see. He got 3 times the same level of minutes that Sims did tonight. Buzzer beater. Great point in the chat. Johnny says the Brunson Huck Porty pick and roll needs to be explored further. Yeah, no doubt about it. It was shades of Mitchie with Huck Porty tonight on the lob too. We'll see what happens at the trade deadline, B-Fits. I think we're trying to solidify our big situation. But if we do get in another big, then that might mean that another big is expendable. With that said, we really miss Cameron Payne. Tyler Kolek tonight. Kolek got 4 minutes as well. So let's talk about Kolek. He was 1 of 1, splashed the open 3. I like his confidence. Tyler Kolek, shoots it with no hesitation, for a point guard and a rookie, right? He'll make you pay if you leave him open. So I think that's probably been the most eye-opening thing with Tyler Kolek. We know he can pass. We know he can run an offense. But the three-point shooting with Kolek this season, I mean, he gets one shot and he splashes it. And it wasn't garbage time. It was meaningful minutes. So +4, 3 points tonight for TKO. So I'm going to dial up his grade. Very small sample size, fam. So I'm going to give Tyler the C plus. I like his shooting, but obviously I think it's good that Tibbs is using him a little, even if you can throw him in there for 5 minutes. That's exactly what I've been preaching. If a player is out, you can't just increase everybody's minutes. Somebody has to come into the rotation, to ease the burden, right? So 4 or 5 minutes, came in and did a job in a short sample. But that is it from our New York Knicks tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks made up ground, but just dug themselves too much of a hole. Missed free throws tonight, and we just didn't have it going from three tonight. We've been a hot 3-point shooting team, but 11 of 34, 32% just wasn't enough, and we allowed 50% from the Pistons tonight, but shot 53% from the field. So we continue to be dynamic in the mid-range and at the cup as well. So let's talk about the Knicks alum, right? Let's talk about that, and then let's look around the league, guys. But for those that missed it, obviously we did hear tonight from the broadcast that this was the catalyst from William Wesley, right? That the New York Knicks, William Wesley, been working hard at the player relations, what it means to be a New York Knick. It was feel good vibes, man. Some of the surprises we got to see. We got to see so many former Knicks tonight. Amari in the building. There was Kenny Skywalker. Of course, the usuals. There was Earl of Pearl, Bernard King. There was J.R. Smith, Swish, Iman Shumpert. There was Steve Novak, of course. Shout out to the entire Knicks alum that came out tonight. I think there was family of Willis Reed. Gail Reed was there. Obviously Clyde, of course, was there. Herb Williams was there as well. So, it's just, a few notable Knicks missing. People talking about Charles Oak. People talking about Kurt Thomas and some other guys that they hope can return. We'll see what happens in the future. But I think there's a reason for everything. There's things we hear behind the scenes that, politics at play and all of those things. It's not a perfect world. Some people don't see eye to eye. But let's celebrate what was a good story tonight, and seeing, despite the loss, we got to see all of these Knicks come together. And for the weekend, they had dinner last night. Got to mingle, share stories together. Once a Knick, always a Knick as well. We'll keep these guys connected for life, fam. How did you see it? What did you guys think of it as well? So, in terms of this player relations initiative, this was a William Wesley thing, Buzzer. But in terms of Steve Stout, I don't even know if he's still in that position anymore. We haven't heard from him in quite a while. Ever since he had that media faux pas. I don't even know if he's with the organization anymore. Somebody might be able to correct me. But Steve Stout was in the marketing 2 years ago. I'm not sure if he still is. We haven't heard from him in a minute. And Clyde's Wine and Dine has unfortunately closed down for a while now. Hasn't reopened to my knowledge as well. Look, I've had many guests on this show. I've talked to friends of Charles Oakley, Peter Vesey, close relationships with Charles Oakley. Those guys keep in touch. If you want to, get some origin stories, go back and watch that episode. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but there's some past mistakes people have made. We're not perfect, but I think that is one of the reasons Charles Oakley obviously ain't where he needs to be, which is with the team. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's the owner's reasoning. He has his reasons as well. I've heard both sides of the stories and all of that, but you won't be seeing Oakley at the Garden anytime soon. It just is what it is right now, and it ain't just the owner. There's other people that feel the same way as well. So I know a lot of people crying out for number 34, the Oak. He did disrespect Patrick Ewing as well. He had some very controversial things to say in public as well. Patrick Ewing's just come back to the Garden now. So it doesn't make sense for Oakley to come in right now until some fences have been mended. Like I said, Patrick Ewing as well. There's some things that they haven't seen eye to eye with. With that said, right? So yeah, a little bit of backstory. Linsanity, that didn't end well in the eyes of Dolan. So I don't think Jeremy Lin is going to be invited back anytime soon. We'll see. But yeah, Spree did come back. So yeah, anything's possible. Definitely, fam, on that one. Now, flipping over to the standings. Now, let's see where the New York Knicks sit, right? 14 and 9. Right? We missed the opportunity to make ground on the Magic, right? We make up ground. We missed that opportunity, but we didn't lose ground on the Magic, fortunately, because they're on a 1-game losing streak. But the opponent we're going to see very, very soon, man, the Atlanta Hawks. Look at this. They're on a 6-game winning streak, right? And I don't know if their next game is against us, but we're going to have the opportunity to turn the lights out, man, and make Vegas and get $100,000. And they're going to be competing for $100,000 as well to make it to the next round of the NBA Cup, right? So you get $500,000 if you win the actual NBA Cup, but as each stage that you advance, you also get another little prize. We won $50,000 for getting to where we're at, and the players, that is, will make another $100,000 if they beat the Hawks. So don't be surprised if you see the players play that little bit harder. Money talks. It's a real thing. These NBA Cup games, right? You give up the cash, and you see a better effort from these players, right? So I think the Hawks game's going to be huge, man. Especially with the swing. They can go 14 and 11, and they can make us 14 and 10. We'll have played the Raptors before then, but depending on whatever happens, they can gain ground, right? And then obviously we only have one less loss than the Miami Heat, who have a few games in hand as well. So we can't let slip. Let's get back on the right track. Let's go into Toronto, handle our business, and then start another streak, man, and beat the Atlanta Hawks. But like I said about Franz Wagner, man, the Magic will start to slide, man. To be without Paolo and without Franz, I don't think they're going to be able to sustain it and basically keep that thing going, right? In terms of the Melo Lin situation with Dolan, I just think it's more so like Dolan likes loyalty, man. Dolan likes loyalty, and basically Lin wanted to be a Knick, but also James Dolan wanted Lin to be a Knick, but Lin went out and got the bigger deal. Obviously, they thought they had a handshake agreement. Lin went out to the Rockets and got that poison pill, and I think that upset James Dolan. So yeah, I don't think it had as much to do with Melo. But I mean, it doesn't move me anyway. I mean, Lin wasn't a Knick long enough. Linsanity will always be special to me, no doubt about it. I appreciate the story and what a special time it was, but it wasn't long enough, and it was also a case of like sustainable winning over a period of time. These Knicks that showed up today were a part of a longer term, sustained period of winning. Whether they had their ups and their downs, like Spreewell and all of that, he was a part of winning. In the case of other players as well, the Lin thing was special, but yeah, like I said, it was a couple of weeks. But yeah, like I said, I mean that's the joy of owning a basketball team. You can kind of do whatever you want. You know, you can make whatever decisions you want. If you or I owned a basketball team, we could make decisions as we want because we're the owner. And sometimes you just don't have to explain anything. You're the owner. You can do what you like. So I get it. You're never going to please everyone. We can't, unfortunately, invite every single former Knick. At some point, Ron Baker's going to be sitting there like, hey, why aren't I getting the call up, man? Tim Hardaway Jr., when he retires, he's going to be like, hey, I was twice a Knick. All these people saying once a Knick. I was twice a Knick. But like I said, yeah, you can't invite everyone. It is what it is. But let's look at the games today, man. Some crazy action around the league. Cavaliers continue to roll. The Nuggets picked up a season-defining trademark win over the Nuggets. The Thunder continue rolling, man. The Heat picked up a big win over the Suns. Our next opponent, the Raptors, went down, right, to the Mavericks. And then the Grizzlies upset the Celtics, right, which is a shame. Well, it's good for us in the standings, but it's a shame because of our draft pick. Our second-round draft pick is coming from the Grizzlies. So, but I'm not going to complain right now because, yeah, the Celtics taken an L, although I don't think we're going to catch the Celtics this season, right? The playoffs is what it's all about. Just looking at the box score, man, RJ Barrett had 18 points tonight, 5 assists. They had Scotty Barnes with 19 points and 14 assists, point guard Scotty Barnes. And they had Grady Dick giving him 27 points, man. He's a sharpshooter we need to look out for. And Kelly Olynyk had 13 points off the bench. So they're the threats that we're going to look out for, fam, on Monday night. RJ scoring the basketball, Scotty Barnes dishing and swishing, and Grady Dick with the shooting as well. So that is where that's at, man. I'm predicting a win. I think we will get that dub against the Raptors, but it's going to be a real test for us, man, and bouncing back. Hopefully we don't let this loss linger and we get on the road, use it as a tune-up for that big game against ATL and the warm-up for the NBA Cup game. Get to Vegas and let's go all the way with that, fam, as well. Like I said, bad loss tonight, but you know, it's a case of if we won 4 in a row, hopefully we get back right and we start to go on another streak. Right, Karl Anthony Towns was missed tonight, and he's going to come back really, really soon. Yeah, we didn't see Phil Jacks tonight. Man, good one. And now, great post game. Appreciate everyone in the chat, man. Appreciate all your comments. Many blessings from me to you, your family. Hope everyone's going well. Festive blessings. New York Knicks are still 14-9, 5 games over 500. A little blip in the radar tonight. But like I said, some real big games coming up, fam. This homestand's been successful so far, getting above 500 and putting some separation. But now let's capitalize and catch Orlando. Right, these next 2 games, if we win, will be big, man. We'll go 16-9, and then heading in to some tougher games. But yeah, many blessings, everyone. We'll see you soon. Peace.